Hello again, and thank you for joining Jeff and Jenny's Classic Restorations. Well, we have something slightly different for you today. It is classic restorations, it's not just scooters or motorbikes or anything. This is Martin Butler from Retro Restore gave me this idea. Not exactly the idea, but he was looking, he restores old record players from the 60s, and I thought, well, what reminds me of the 60s and 70s? Well, I remember as a kid, I used to love playing with this particular vacuum cleaner my mum had, which was called the Hoover Constellation. So the plan is, I finally found one from my childhood, a Hoover Constellation. It's one of these ones that used to float on air, and I used to play with it as a child, throwing it up and down on the carpet. Well, obviously it's seen better days. This is the 862 model, which I believe was roughly sort of 61, 62 up to about 67, so it's probably mid 60s. As I say, seen better days, but the plan is, hopefully, and I'm no appliances engineer or anything, as I'm not a mechanic either, but I thought, well, let's try and give this poor old thing a go and get it stripped down and painted. It does work, but I thought I'd try and do this a creamy sort of grey and this a dark blue. So I'm going to do this in probably 3 stages. One stage of stripping it down, and then one of painting it up, and a third smaller video for putting it back together again. It does have some tools with it. As usual, they're all pretty much broken, but I'm hoping I may be able to do something with that, but if not, I'll be looking at some more tools. Did come with a few other bits. I'm not sure if that's a genuine one. Normally they had Hoover on there. This one has Hoover, but a bit rough. This one would have had Hoover on there as well. Just has one metal tube as well. So I'm going to see what we can do with that. And talking of Martin at Retro Restore, if you just head along to his site, he does these now. These are the old, well, you can have whatever you want. This is an advert I sent him, and he sent me one of his metal pictures, so you can have whatever you want. So head along to Retro Restore, and he will do those at a very good price for you, including the postage and packaging. So what we'll do now, we'll get on and start stripping this down for this episode and see how I get on. Well, there we go. Let's have a first little look at it. So it is rather beaten up with surface rust. I'm hoping we'll be able to get this back down to nice metal, and I'm also hoping it will go in the oven for powder coating. I think it will. I'll just quickly show you, it does work. There we go. Very powerful. And it's trying to float. See underneath, it's got a rusty bottom, and a rusty bottom will never do. So hopefully we get all this sanded back as well, and a nice powder coat on there, and that should actually help it do its floating bit more. So we'll start with the strip down. Well, obviously it's now unplugged, and we can start by stripping it down. It's just got a little hinge at the bottom there, hooks it down, and then we can open that up. This little bag holder. Now this is normally like a felt. I don't know if this is the original, but it's seen better days as well. So I'm going to see if there's some sort of alternative I can get for that. And then it unhooks, unhooking this spring thing. As we go down, it's looking a little bit better. Now let's just hope we can get these screws out. I think first of all perhaps we'll take the top part off. Let me just work out how to do this. Well, pretty straightforward. It's got like a little circlet, that's all that holds that on, so keep that one safe. And then we just need to tap that out now. This, in fact, we might be able to pull it out with the pliers. speckled a bit rusty. We'll give it all a clean. Nearly. There we go, that's that done. I've noticed that there's one screw here. I'll put some, looks like it's pretty added. I'll put some WD-40 stuff on there now, so hopefully we'll come back to that in a minute and it might come out. So we're back with the lid now. So this comes off, that's the seal against the bag. We take the handle off. Apparently the handles, and most of them are broken, but it seems to be alright, but we'll see. So we'll take the handle off, get that out of the way. As I say, please bear with me, I'm not any form of mechanic or appliance engineer, just a tinkerer. And just try and learn as I go. So, yeah, lucky enough that isn't broken, so we can just give this a clean and maybe a paint, we'll see. Save those screws. Right, so now we need to try and get this rubber off. Carefully, I suppose. So I don't think we're getting another one of these. Hopefully this should all clean up nicely. When they developed these, it was in the time of the space race era, and I believe it was actually based on the planet Saturn, so which is a nice idea if they did. Okay, so try and get this one off. Pull through there. There we go. And that can all be cleaned up later. Right, with this, I think I'm going to have to, we'll do that later on. I'm going to have to drill out these little rivets for the Hoover sign, and this one as well. So we'll come back to that one just to drill them out later. And back to this, as I say, these ones seem to be okay. I did try them when I first got it. Yeah, there's 3 screws here. This takes it down to the motor. That one's coming out. And we've got this one here that I think is going to cause problems, but we'll see. I might have to use the impact driver for that one, so bear with me. Yeah, the impact driver did that, so that's okay. If we can find a replacement screw for that, I'm sure we can. Let's see. Okay, now that should actually take us down to the motor area. There we go. Well, that's okay, that's all doable. And then we have the motor, which just sits in here. The later ones, they were made up to the 80s, and they were a plastic case on the motors then. So this is obviously an early one with the metal. So all going to need a nice clean up as well. At least we know it works. So what I'm going to do is disconnect the wiring. One other thing I may have to do, just here. This is a We might leave it, but it's a suppressor, and apparently when they go, and then you end up with it doing takeoff rather than just floating. So yeah, there is a way of cutting them out the circuit, but once again we'll deal with that once we get round to it. But we'll see. Okay, so we've got the switch to remove now, which is another fiddly job, I believe, where you just have to, it's two clips, there we go, two clips that clam together, which then allows that to come out. There we go. So that's that done. Pretty straightforward. And then I also may possibly replace the flex, but we'll see how that goes. So as you can see in there, we've got this is where the flex comes through. In fact, it should be a rubber grommet in there, but maybe I can find something for that. So if we take this plate off here, and there we go, that takes us to these connections. Okay, so we'll undo those. Okay, I've just taken a quick picture of this because I've got a memory like a sieve, so at least we know which way they go round afterwards. So we just disconnect the motor wire here. I'll get that back in a minute. There we go. So that's the motor unit 3. Now this, from what I've seen, there's a couple of bits missing here. This should be actually a filter that goes on somewhere, but I'll look into that. This is the little base bit that the motor sits in, and this should, I think there should be some plastic in there, but possibly not, due to the fact that it's got this rubber bung on it, so that's what insulates the motor from the rest of the body. So I'll carry on for a bit, bear with me. Right, I've just taken these two bolts out here, that just holds it onto there. So we'll just remove the last, hopefully, the last two wires here. Okay, one more. Okay. Okay, alright. Well, so there should be a grommet on here, which there isn't. And surprisingly, they don't have an earth on it, but okay. I think what I'm going to have to do is just disconnect the plug, and we can pull it through that way, I think. I must admit, I haven't seen many plugs like that. Much better system than the originals, isn't it? Or the earlier, newer ones, shall we say. I'm surprised it doesn't have an earth. I don't know, maybe we can do something with that, but we'll see. that should do that. Okay. Now we can pull it through this way. See if I can get some sort of a grommet to go in that hole. There must be something I can use. Nearly there, nearly there. Right, okay. So that's that done. Right, so that's pretty much everything off now. It's only remains to get this Hoover sign off and this panel here, and we can just start by drilling out these rivets. Go too deeply. Yeah, okay. I'll just carry on doing this. I don't want to go too deeply on these, but I'll come back to you once that's out. Well, there we go. They come out, drilled those out, so we can rivet those later, and the little Hoover sign to go on later as well. So that's it. That's everything off. I'll clean the motor up. To see that just be polished, and give all this a good wash out, and I'll start sanding this down, and so that'll do for this episode, and then we'll come back with the started to repaint and try and get it back together again. As I say, I don't like seeing iconic machines like this, same with the motorbikes, just don't like it. So if we can make that look any better, I'll be more than happy. So that's it. We'll come back for the painting, etc. Well, we do hope you enjoyed that little video now, just a little bit something different. Basically, it's just trying to make old things from the past look nice again. So please join us on the next episode where we can get on doing some more painting, etc. of the Hoover Constellation. So until then, you take care out there, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.